Imagine walking through a city where every street, every building, every monument seems impossibly precise. Yet centuries have passed since its construction, and the tools they used would seem primitive to our modern eyes. How could a civilization thousands of years ago create structures and systems that challenged the limits of what we believe ancient humans were capable of? The paradox lies not just in their physical achievements, but in the very framework of their society, which operated in ways that suggest a deep understanding of human behavior, collective perception, and even natural systems that modern science is only beginning to quantify. Today, we are revisiting an ancient civilization whose accomplishments force us to question the linear narrative of technological and cultural progress and to explore the deeper cognitive and social mechanisms that allowed humans even in prehistory to transcend what we consider their natural limits. This exploration is more than a historical curiosity. It is a journey into the architecture of human ingenuity and the emergent properties of society, demonstrating how stress, adaptation, and shared knowledge create outcomes that seem almost supernatural to an observer from our own time. Ancient societies are often reduced to simplistic images of survival, yet when we analyze their urban planning, astronomical alignments, and social structures through the lens of neuroscience and psychology, a remarkable story emerges. The brain, much like a complex network, processes stimuli, anticipates outcomes, and adapts to challenges, and civilizations function similarly, as dynamic networks of energy, information, and shared behavior that evolve, self-correct, and optimize over time. Just as neurons form patterns of connectivity that allow insight, creativity, and resilience, ancient societies appear to have created interconnected systems that supported sophisticated trade, science, and cultural expression. Consider, for example, the intricate water management systems that some ancient cities engineered. At first glance, they seem purely utilitarian, but a closer look reveals an understanding of hydraulics, fluid dynamics, and community coordination. Reservoirs, canals, and drainage systems were not isolated features. They were part of a living network, designed to sustain the population while minimizing conflict over scarce resources and to modulate the effects of environmental stress. This mirrors how the brain distributes energy and prioritizes responses under pressure. When a society is faced with scarcity or environmental challenges, it must reorganize resources, redistribute energy, and often innovate rapidly just as neural circuits adjust when confronted with new tasks or stimuli. Such parallelism between human cognition and societal adaptation suggests that the civilization we are studying possessed not only technical skill, but a profound understanding of collective behavior, even if unarticulated in written theory. Moreover, their achievements hint at a nuanced grasp of perception, both individual and collective. In neuroscience, perception is not merely passive reception of stimuli, but an active construction shaped by experience, expectation, and context. Similarly, ancient planners and leaders shaped social perception, creating spaces and rituals that directed attention, reinforced social norms, and fostered cooperation. Monumental architecture, for instance, was often aligned with celestial events, signaling the passage of time, agricultural cycles, or ritual importance. Festivals, civic obligations, and ceremonial practices were not mere pageantry. They were mechanisms for synchronizing behavior, redistributing social energy, and reinforcing cooperation under pressure. In this sense, moments that appear chaotic or oppressive may have been the civilization's way of maintaining balance, ensuring survival, and fostering innovation in response to environmental and social challenges. Another striking feature of this civilization is their conceptual understanding of abstraction and symbolism. Artifacts suggest a capacity to encode complex cosmological, mathematical, and philosophical ideas into tangible forms. Symbols, measurements, and alignments were not decorative, they were cognitive tools, external representations of internal reasoning processes. This mirrors the way modern humans use diagrams, formulas, and language to offload cognitive load and extend thinking. By externalizing knowledge, the civilization amplified its collective intelligence, allowing patterns to emerge across generations that no single individual could comprehend entirely. Perhaps the most surprising discovery is the evidence that this civilization possessed knowledge that, in some ways, anticipates modern scientific insights. Whether in structural engineering, astronomy, or urban planning, certain techniques suggest empirical observation combined with predictive modeling. Observing celestial cycles, tracking seasonal variations, or managing population growth were not acts of superstition alone, they were systematic investigations of cause and effect, feedback, and long-term planning. The implication is profound. Intelligence is not linear, and technological sophistication is not the sole measure of cognitive achievement. Insight, adaptation, and social optimization can yield outcomes that appear advanced, even without modern instruments. And here lies the twist. The very vulnerabilities we perceive, their dependence on environment, ritual, or social cohesion were also sources of strength. By embedding knowledge into culture, architecture, and collective behavior, they created resilience against individual error, resource fluctuation, and environmental stress. In other words, the apparent weaknesses of this civilization were strategic features, allowing them to survive, adapt, and thrive in ways that rigid, technologically focused societies might not. Modern neuroscience supports this idea. Redundancy, modularity, and distributed processing are hallmarks of robust systems, whether in the brain or in social structures. The parallels are striking. When we marvel at their monuments, study their urban grids, or decode their symbols, we are witnessing a civilization that understood, intuitively, the principles of system stability, emergent order, and collective cognition. Philosophically, this realization challenges our narrative of human progress as a straight ascent from primitive to advanced. The achievements of this ancient society suggest that human ingenuity is context-dependent, and that intelligence manifests not only in tools and technology, but in the capacity to organize, adapt, and transmit knowledge through complex social networks. It invites us to reconsider what it means to be advanced, and to recognize that our ancestors were not simply survival-focused beings, but sophisticated thinkers capable of creating enduring systems that harmonized with their environment and human nature. As we reflect on this, we may find that the lessons of this civilization resonate today. In a world increasingly dependent on technology, we are challenged to balance individual action with collective coherence, to structure our societies so that knowledge, cooperation, and resilience are amplified rather than lost. The cognitive strategies encoded in ancient cities, rituals, and social frameworks remind us that adaptability, insight, and foresight are not purely modern virtues, they are timeless features of human communities that survive and thrive under pressure. Perhaps the most humbling insight is that much of what we value as progress, advanced machinery, digital networks, and instantaneous communication is built upon foundations already explored in subtle, ingenious ways by civilizations long past. By studying their successes and apparent failures, we gain a window into the architecture of human thought itself, the interplay of perception, memory, cooperation, and innovation. It is a mirror reflecting not only where we come from, but how we might navigate the challenges of today. In conclusion, the civilization we have examined exemplifies a remarkable integration of technical skill, social intelligence, and cognitive insight. They remind us that true advancement is measured not merely in artifacts, but in the depth of understanding, the ability to adapt under stress, and the creation of networks, both social and environmental, that sustain life, knowledge, and culture. By considering the brain as a system and society as an energy network, we can appreciate how historical signals, monuments, rituals, and urban designs encode lessons in resilience, perception, and collective behavior. These insights encourage us to question assumptions, expand our understanding of human potential, and explore the ways in which knowledge, Observation and cooperation shape civilization across time. So the next time you marvel at an ancient site, pause to consider that what you see is more than stone or artifact. It is a complex signal from a society that understood, in ways we are only beginning to grasp, the delicate interplay of mind, environment, and collective life. Their wisdom is subtle but enduring, inviting reflection on our own networks, our own perception, and our own capacity to build resilient, insightful communities. What if the constraints we perceive as limitations are, in fact, opportunities for emergent intelligence? What if our modern assumptions about progress blind us to forms of sophistication that transcend the purely technological? These are the questions this civilization challenges us to ask, bridging the past and present, science and philosophy, mind and society. The story does not end in the ruins, it continues in our capacity to interpret, learn, and integrate these lessons into our understanding of humanity itself. If you found this exploration as astonishing as I did, take a moment to reflect on the layers of intelligence encoded in human history. Share your thoughts in the comments, like this video if it expanded your perspective, and subscribe to Past Lens for more journeys into the hidden depths of our collective past. The past is not just a record of what was, it is a lens through which we can see what is possible.